today morning's narration on this blessed and holy occasion of Sri Govardhan Puja. We heard about how Krishna transformed a typical Hindu tradition that was being followed for many generations into the most pleasurable, enlightening, and meaningful festival. The Vrijabasis performed Indra Puja every year as a matter of duty to Indra for getting rain for their crops and cows, and also to give a sense of allegiance to their forefathers and foremothers who established this tradition. So it wasn't anything very exciting. It was something they would do for certain religious purposes. But when Krishna told them, worship Govardhan Hill instead, along with the cows and the Brahmins, and gave him instructions how to do so, it was the most jubilant, ecstatic festival for all of their hearts. What was the difference between the Indra Puja and the Govardhan Puja? One was dry, one was overflooding with nectar. The difference was simply that one was done out of religious duty, and the other was done with pure love, with bhakti. Because the Govardhan Puja pleased Krishna. Ultimately, that's the only thing the Vrijabasis are concerned with. What will please Krishna? From an intellectual perspective, if the Brahmins of Vrindavan and the cowherd men and cowherd ladies, if they wanted to, refer to scriptures and scrutinize whether they should worship a hill instead of Indra, the Rig Veda and so many Vedas offer prayers to Indra, they would have perhaps had some doubts. But they loved Krishna. Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha yishavimasucha. Krishna tells that abandon all varieties of religion, dharma, and just surrender to me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, nothing to fear. Now Krishna's telling this in the Bhagavad Gita after he already showed us his universal form in the 11th chapter. So after seeing that universal form, most people would think, yes, if we surrender to Krishna, we have nothing to fear. After all, we saw Bhishma and everyone and everything being devoured by that form. If he protects us, we have no reason to be in anxiety. But here, they didn't identify Krishna as God. They did not identify Krishna as all-powerful. They only knew Krishna as their loving son, friend, or lover. At the time, Krishna was only 7 years old. Now, for those of you who are parents, you know the vulnerability of a child that is 7 years old. What standard would a 7-year-old be in India? Second. That means the child's in second grade, second standard. Pretty small. But even this little child, 7 years old, they were willing to take any risk to make him happy. That is the beauty of Vrindavan. And therefore the festival was absolutely joyful. Everyone in Vrindavan was united, making preparations, cutting vegetables, grinding grains, milking extra milk from the cows and bringing it together and cooking it and boiling it and making beautiful decorations, making the mountains and the lakes of the bhoga, decorating the cows and the bulls and the calves. It's a wonderful festival. Everyone was perfectly united for Krishna's pleasure. And ultimately, why were they so happy performing this Govardhan Puja? Because Krishna was happy. Especially happy. When you water the root of the tree, every part of the tree is satisfied. So for the devotees, when we satisfy Krishna, Krishna from within the heart gives us happiness. A happiness that is beyond anything of this world. Because Krishna reciprocates with the love of the devotees. It's very interesting because today, for many people, the idea of demigods, some people don't believe there's demigods. Other people, they believe, but they don't really believe. But still they believe. In other words, when they do some demigod worship, they think, of course he exists, but maybe he doesn't exist, but just in case I should do it. Yes? But for the Brijvasis, it wasn't like that. This was the Dwapara Yuga, and they knew 100% absolutely for sure about the demigods. They knew 100% for sure that Indra was going to accept this yajna, and then he accepted this yajna for every year for generations and generations and generations. And they knew if they didn't perform the yajna, it wasn't just, if there happens to be an Indra somewhere in the sky, then he's going to be angry. They knew he will be furious. But Krishna said, forget this Indra. Worship Govardhan. Now to worship, think of Indra's position. They're taking everything that is meant for him and they're giving it to a mountain and to cows. Krishna really knows how to crush the pride of his devotee. But Krishna knows everyone's heart. He knew exactly how Indra would react. When he innocently said, let's make mountains of bhoga and offer to Govardhan, he knew the anger of Indra. It was such an insult. Krishna promises in Bhagavad Gita, Kaunteya pratijanihi na me bhakta pranashyati. Arjuna, you declare it, that I will always protect my devotee. My devotee will not perish. Krishna told Arjuna to declare it because Krishna is more concerned with protecting his devotees' promise than his own. That is the nature of his love. But how does Krishna protect his devotee? We may think Krishna will protect me by protecting my health and protecting my body and protecting my devotional consciousness, protecting my property, protecting my family. Krishna protects either directly or indirectly by doing what's best for our spiritual life. And sometimes that means putting us in danger. Sometimes that means allowing us to totally fail. Yasyaham anagridnami harisheta dhanam shanai. How did he protect the Pandavas when they were banished to the forest for 12 years? Is that protection? They lost everything. And Krishna was asked about that. And he said, sometimes when I show my great compassion to my devotee, I will take everything away. Sometimes I'll take away all property, sometimes I'll take away all friends, sometimes everyone will go against you. And in that state you realize what has always been true, that you have no one but me, and you turn to me with love. Gajendra was living a very comfortable life. And when he was in that pond, in that beautiful heavenly abode, and the crocodile sunk his very sharp, long teeth into Gajendra's leg and squeezed with all his might, and there was nothing within Gajendra's power to escape, and he fought for many years. And ultimately he was losing the battle, and his family and his friends and everybody around, they were all weeping and crying because they couldn't help him. And Gajendra was totally humiliated. Here's the king of the forest, and he's being totally defeated publicly in front of everyone. That was Krishna's protection. Because otherwise he would have just lived a happy elephant life until he died. But in that state, he remembered Krishna. And he surrendered his heart to Krishna unconditionally and cried out beautiful prayers, invoking Krishna. And Krishna came and brought him back home, back to Godhead. So please don't think that because you're a devotee, that means I'm going to suffer. If you're not a devotee, you're going to suffer too. Everyone in this material world has to suffer one way or another according to their particular karma. Good people enjoy some and then they have to suffer. Bad people may enjoy some until their karma comes, and they really have to suffer. Other bad people, they're suffering now and they'll suffer in the future. Dukhalayam ashashvatam. We have to grow old, we have to get diseased, we have to die. There's always people who are going to be envious of us. Wherever we are, whatever we do, there's always going to be people who want to undermine us and destroy us. Whether you're living as a simple person farming in the country, or whether you're the king of a nation. The nature of this world, people are envious. People want what you have. Therefore, there's always potential conflict. Conflict among family members, conflict among races, conflict among nations, conflict among religions. And essentially, who knows what's going to happen next? There could be cyclones, there could be floods, there can be earthquakes, there could be wars. And what can we do about it? Whenever there's war, the vast majority of the population of all the warring parties are just innocent, peace-loving people. They don't even want the war. But a few people on top decide they need war, and who suffers? The few people on top are usually hidden away, and the innocent people. Their sons have to go to fight and get killed, and then their houses are being bombed, and this is the world. So we should not think that when Krishna puts his devotee in difficulty, that's something very hard to accept. Difficulties are the nature of the world, whoever we are. But Krishna puts us in, he allows just the right kind of difficulty to come so that he can be there for us to save us. Otherwise, we become complacent. So Indra is a very powerful devotee. We were discussing this morning. Not anyone can become Indra. You have to be a very responsible devotee who has really performed amazing, incredible forms of service in the past, extremely pious, someone who has performed many yajnas. What is a yajna? We do little yajnas and we think, oh, very nice, I am purified. But the types of yajnas to become Indra are not just little homas. They're very elaborate sacrifices that it may take years just to prepare for one. And it has to be done meticulously well, and it goes on for sometimes days or weeks or months. Perfectly according to Vedas. Such a person, Krishna gives such a big responsibility. You have the duty to keep everyone alive in the universe by providing rain. That's a serious responsibility, is it not? It's not that he says, oh, well, I can't do it today, I have to chant my rounds. He has to be there to be monitoring everything. And he's doing it for Krishna. But there's a problem. That wealth, power, prestige has the irresistible nature to make us proud, to think that I am better than others. And as soon as you start thinking like that, then the disease that I am the proprietor and I am the enjoyer. And this could happen in a very subtle way. We could be given a position in Krishna consciousness. And we can think, this is my service. Even if someone else can do it better, and everyone else wants that person to do it. No, this is my service. Nothing is ours. It's Krishna's service. What does service mean? Service does not mean I do what I want, how I want, when I want. Service means whatever makes you happy, Krishna. And Krishna reveals what makes him happy through the Guru and the sadhus and the scriptures. It's very simple. So Indra is being glorified by demigods. He has the most beautiful women all around him, dancing and making nice prasad for him. He has Brahmins chanting mantras for him by the thousands, chanting mantras for him. That means his names, his glories. Magnificent palaces. The palace is not his. It belongs to the post of the King of Heaven. The proper consciousness is this is a post, and I'm simply the humble servant performing the duties within this post, but it's not mine. This happens to most devotees, unfortunately. Krishna gives power, Krishna gives facility, and we think this is mine. And we think it is mine to enjoy. And we become proud. Ahankara vimudatma. Due to the false ego, we think we are the doer. That false pride destroys our devotional service. It corrupts the heart. Krishna doesn't really appreciate any service that is offered with this type of false pride. We read in Chaitanya Charitamrita about the leper Vasudeva. He was suffering such horrible leprosy for so many years. His flesh was decayed. There were limitless worms eating away his body. And if a worm would fall out, he would very respectfully place it back, thinking this body belongs to him as much as me. Why should I deprive him of his residence? This was his mood. Lord Chaitanya understood that. He was so humble that Lord Chaitanya came all the way back to Kurumakshetra and embraced Vasudeva and cured him of his leprosy. Not only that, his body was perfectly healthy and it was effulgent. Vasudeva was worried. Now people will see me that I have received such a blessing of the Lord. A miracle was made out of my life. What if I become proud? Then my ability to please Krishna will be spoiled. Better if I remain a leper. Then at least my service will never be contaminated by false pride. He couldn't think he was better than anyone else in that condition. In fact, he was thinking that every worm was better than him. But now he's beautiful, no worms. Effulgence. He was worried because he understood that where there is this false pride, where we think we're the doer and we're clinging to our positions. If Krishna doesn't favor you much, he'll just let you go on like that. And you will think, I'm winning, I'm winning. But if Krishna is very kind to you, take away the cause of your pride, directly or indirectly. So he didn't want to take away Indra's position. Indra was actually doing a very good job. But he wanted to award Indra an understanding, a realization of the real purpose of life and what he was doing his work for. For Krishna. So Krishna humiliated him. Oh, was Indra ever humiliated? He was hissing like an angry snake. He couldn't believe what just happened. He was watching the whole thing and he was getting messages constantly. Where is my puja? Every year at this time I get my puja. Where is my puja? They already gave it to this mountain in Vrindavan. Huh? They gave my puja to a mountain? They gave my offerings to cows? He was furious. And Krishna was in his heart watching, thinking, yes, it's working, it's working. Perfect, perfect. Indra, he wanted to show his almighty power. He called for the Samvartaka clouds. Now, none of you have seen Samvartaka clouds in this life. Because when you see them, you don't see anything else after that. It's like Srila Prabhupada was talking about arsenic. He said, the scientists say that it doesn't have a taste. But how do they know? Because as soon as you taste it, you die. So nobody knows what it tastes like. It's speculation. Samvartaka clouds are reserved exclusively for universal devastation at the times of the pralaya, where they cover the whole earth. When Samvartaka clouds rain, within a very short amount of time, the Earth planet is one ocean with not a single island, except Navadvip. Godramdvip remains even during the pralaya. That is explained in the scriptures. Very powerful rains. And he was out of control. You see, if you have a boil on your body, if somebody squeezes it, it really hurts. If you don't have a boil on your body, you can squeeze that same part, and it doesn't really hurt. If you have a boil, if you even breathe on it, if it hurts. If somebody even looks on it, it hurts. So where there's pride, there's like a boil filled with that pus. And Krishna, by dishonoring Indra, oh, it hurts so bad. Indra is a Kshatriya. Gita tells that for Kshatriyas, dishonor is worse than death. So Indra sent those Samvartaka clouds and told him, you have the power to destroy entire planets. With all of your energies, I want you to focus exclusively on the village of Vrindavan. and destroy the cows and the gopas and the gopis. Go now. Samvartaka clouds are obedient. Like in military, they're like the generals, soldiers and the commander-in-chief is telling them to attack. They can't say, well, sir, we don't really think it's a good idea. They'll be killed. You attack. So they attacked. And in Vrindavan, suddenly massive black clouds formed into the sky. And they stretched practically throughout the universe, these clouds. They were massive, so thick that even the sharpest axe could not cut through them. Most clouds you can fly an airplane through. Some Vantaka clouds, if the airplane tried to go through, they would just go, they would crash and fall to the ground. That's how thick these clouds were. And the entire world was in pitch darkness, except for Vrindavan. Because by Krishna's own arrangement, his toenails radiated an effulgence that completely lit up the whole of Vrindavan. Like a soothing sun. This was the first insult to Indra. Then they started to rain. First there was thunder, very, very deep thunder, tumultuous thunder, and lightning. When the rain started falling, it didn't come in drops. It came in columns, like pillars. It was like millions and millions and millions of rivers falling from the sky. Can you imagine that? It described, it was like the trunks of banyan trees instead of drops, just falling at high speeds. Then by Indra's control, it became freezing cold. And not only were there torrents and torrents of rain, but there was also hailstorms. Hail is where it's so cold that some of the rain turns into ice, balls of ice. I've been to places in America where it hails and the ice balls get this big. And they come down really fast. It's very dangerous. I've seen. And my father, he used to like when this happened because his profession was fixing automobiles. And the hail would put dents in the automobiles and break the windshields of the automobiles, and everybody would come and bring in their automobiles to get fixed. Everyone with him was in distress. So there was massive hail falling down and pillars of rain pouring down. And the cows, they were trembling, and their little tender calves, the mother cows were crying, thinking how to protect my calf. And they have that loose skin that comes below their neck, the traditional Indian cows. So they would cover their little calves with the skin from their neck and try to protect them from the rain. although they themselves were totally exposed to the hail and the rain. Selfless love of a mother. Let me die, but let my child be protected. And the bulls, they were very angry. This rain would bounce off their horn, then go onto their hump and splash into pieces. And the bull would just look up at the clouds with red, angry eyes and roar. And the gopas and the gopis, they could see. It's just a matter of minutes till we are all destroyed. So taking the cows in front of them, they all approached Krishna. Krishna, Krishna Mahabhaga. He said, Krishna, please. Indra's very angry. Please be merciful and protect us. Look at how your cows are suffering so much. You always protect your cows. Please protect your cows. And all of us too. Although they were always worried about Krishna and always thinking that they were the ones protecting Krishna, whenever there was danger that was beyond their control, they turned to Krishna spontaneously. Krishna looked at them and smiled. And he was thinking in his mind, Indra is very angry. Now I am going to make him even more angry. So by Krishna's Yogamaya potency, created a pathway where no rain was falling. And he quickly walked through that pathway to Govardhan Hill. Not a drop of rain touched his turban or his hair or any part of him. Then, like a playful child would lift a tiny little insignificant mushroom, Krishna lifted the Govardhan Hill. Now today, Govardhan Hill is 21 kilometers around. At that time, 5,000 years ago, it was several times bigger. When Krishna uprooted Govardhan from the ground, it made a tremendous sound. The earth was shaking, was rumbling. He lifted, and then stood right in the middle, holding it with the little finger of his left hand. As Govardhan Hill was being lifted, dirt was falling from its sides, just according to Giriraj's own design. When the dirt was falling, it fell all around the hill so that whatever water that was coming off the umbrella of Govardhan Hill could not get inside. It was like a wall that stopped it. Then Krishna called out to all the Brijabasis, now just see, Giriraj is so merciful, he has become an umbrella to protect you from the rain. Now let us all stand under this umbrella of Sri Giriraj and we will have a good time together. Please come. So all the cows, all the calves, all the bulls, all the gopas, all the gopis, they all came under Govardhan Hill. And everyone crowded around Krishna to see that beautiful darshan of Giridhari. So beautiful. He was actually in a threefold bending form, with his left hand holding the hill and his feet crossed. So beautiful. The essence of all beauty. Everyone simply gazed upon Krishna, their hearts completely satisfied. The gopis, their eyes were like chakori birds. The chakori bird unblinkingly stares upon the beauty of the moon. The chakora bird is nourished by drinking through its eyes the rays of the moonlight. Similarly, the gopis of Vrindavan, unblinkingly they gazed upon the beauty of Krishna. And how Krishna reciprocated. The gopis, through their glance, they brought Krishna through their eyes into the core of their hearts. And there they embraced him. And Krishna embraced them back in the deepest, purest spiritual love. They were enjoying this rasa of intimate love with Krishna as they were simply watching that form of Giridhari. And everyone else, in fact, all the Brijabasis, all the cows, the calves, the bulls, everyone, they were all thinking that Krishna is only gazing on me. There were so many thousands, millions of people under that hill, Shri Giriraj. But everyone was thinking, Krishna's just gazing on me. He was fully satisfying everyone's innermost heart's desire. Except Yashoda. Her motherly parental affection. It was very difficult for her to see a little 7-year-old Gopal standing with a gigantic mountain on the tip of his little finger. She spoke to Krishna. She said, Krishna, you are so impotent. You have no control over your senses or your mind. Why did you do that? It's been our family tradition to worship Indra for so many generations. Why did you have to insult him in this way? And now you have made Indra so very, very angry. Look what you've done. And I'm looking up and I'm seeing that your hand, it is as soft and as fresh, creamy butter. And then I see that on top of it is this massive, very hard, heavy mountain called Govardhan. How could my motherly heart tolerate seeing you in this condition? Then Mother Yashoda, with very, very intense feeling, she prayed to Sri Giriraj. Oh, Govardhan Hill, I beg one boon from you. Please be compassionate upon me. And as long as you're sitting on Krishna's finger, please be very soft and be very light. Hearing this, Madhu Mangal, also known as Batu, he said to Yashoda Mai, why are you in anxiety? Krishna's not in any distress. In fact, if it wasn't for Krishna insulting Indra and Indra getting angry, we would not have the opportunity to enjoy this sweet, sweet darshan of Krishna holding Govardhan Hill. Giridhari ki jai. Yashoda Mai said, You foolish boy, what are you talking? How could a little boy holding a massive, heavy object like a mountain be something sweet? And Krishna smiled. He said, Mother, don't think like this. I am in no distress. In fact, this is fun. I'm having so much fun. Don't think that I'm holding up Govardhan Hill. Giriraj is so merciful that he's, by his own mystical powers, he's floating in the air. And I'm just holding my finger up and just touching. There's no weight at all. In fact, I'm having so much fun. I'm just an instrument. Yashodamai's heart was very worried. She said, if that's true, that Giriraj is just floating, then prove it to me. Have Giriraj come off your beautiful lotus-like soft butterly hand and let him fly around the sky on his own. Then I'll know that this is true. Madhu Mangal, he's a Brahmin cowherd boy. He said, Yashodamai, it's not that, what all of you are saying is not correct. The truth is, by my Brahman Tejas, by my Brahminical powers, I am holding Govardhan Hill up. Yashodamai said, my son, his face is pale, his belly is sunken due to hunger. I see perspiration forming on his forehead, and you're making jokes like this? And Nanda Maharaj said, Yashoda, why are you harassing Madhu Mangal like this? Everything he's saying, Krishna is laughing and smiling. He's encouraging Krishna. He's appreciating, Krishna's appreciating and taking pleasure from his words. When the Brijabasis were watching this form of Gopal, Giridhari, describing the most charming darshan they were receiving. Here is Gopal with his most enchanting bluish form, which is the color of a newly formed monsoon cloud. And he's standing with three bends, Tribhanga. With his left hand, he's holding up the Govardhan Hill. And then with his right hand, just to give pleasure to his devotees, he takes his flute out from being tucked in his dhoti. And all the Brijabasis are watching. Please understand, every eye was on him only. And Gopal takes out his flute and puts it to his lips with one hand and plays sweet, beautiful melodies as he's gazing upon all the devotees and moving his head back and forth. Devotees' hearts were charmed by the sweet sound of his flute. But Madhu Mangal became very worried. He said, Gopal, please, stop playing your flute, because if Giriraj hears this flute, he might go into ecstasy and faint. And if he faints, he'll fall off your finger and we'll all be crushed to death. And another thing we have seen, when you play your flute, liquid objects become solid and solid objects become liquid. We have seen rocks and stones and melt in ecstasy to the sound of your flute. And Giriraj is your best devotee. If Giriraj listens to your flute, he might melt into ecstasy, and if he does, we will all drown to death. Another cowherd boy said, Giriraj is a very elevated great soul, and he will certainly be patient and control his ecstatic symptoms for the sake of all of us. So there is nothing to fear. One Brijavasi spoke to Srimati Radharani. He said, Radharani, please, you are the essence of all beauty. Please do not move your eyebrows. Because Krishna's gazing at everybody, but he's also gazing at you. And if he sees you move your eyebrow, he may tremble in ecstasy, and Giriraj will fall off of his finger. Krishna heard that, and he looked at Srimati Radharani. And when he saw her, it doesn't say in the Ananda Vrindavan Champu, but it appears she may have raised her eyebrow because he did begin to tremble. And when he started to tremble, his hair started standing on end, and different ecstatic symptoms started manifesting upon him. Feeling Radharani's love, and he was shaking, and the mountain started moving. So instantly, all the elderly cowherd men took their sticks, and they put it under the hill to hold it up.